My dear friends, when most people hear the word dropout, they immediately think of failure. They imagine someone who gave up, someone who couldn't cut it, someone doomed to a life of struggle. That's what the system teaches you. It drills into your head that the only way to succeed is through perfect grades, perfect behavior, and a perfectly paved path handed to you by someone else. But here's the brutal truth. The world doesn't care about your grades. It cares about your value, and value doesn't come from a piece of paper. It comes from who you become when nobody believes in you. You could be the smartest person in the room and still feel like a failure because your teachers told you you'd never make it without a degree. But the smartest people aren't always sitting at the front of the class. They're often sitting at the back, bored out of their minds, wondering how to escape the system and build something real. Because deep down, they know the truth. Some people are born to follow rules. Others are born to rewrite them. Let's talk about the dropout mindset. It's not about quitting. It's not about laziness. It's about realizing that your time is worth more than memorizing information you'll never use. It's about seeing through the illusion that a safe job and a steady paycheck are the ultimate goals in life. The dropout mindset is the rebel mindset, the one that says, I'll bet on myself, even if nobody else does. Success doesn't start in a classroom. It starts in your mind. It starts when you decide that you're not going to settle for being average, that you're going to wake up earlier, hustle harder, and take bigger risks than the people waiting around for permission to be great. Because here's the thing, nobody's coming to save you. No teacher, no boss, no mentor. The only person responsible for your success is the one you see in the mirror every morning. You don't need a diploma to think critically. You don't need a professor to teach you how to solve real-world problems. You don't need permission to start your own business, build your own brand, or invest in your own future. Everything you need to succeed is already out there. Books, courses, podcasts, YouTube videos, mentors, mistakes. It's all available to you, but most people won't take it seriously unless it comes with a certificate. That's their loss. Now, here's what most people won't tell you. Dropping out is hard, it's lonely. It's risky. You don't get applause when you walk away from the traditional path. You get doubt, you get criticism, you get people asking if you're doing okay, like you just made the worst decision of your life. But what they don't see is the fire inside you, the hunger, the vision, the work ethic. That part comes later, after the struggle, after the grind, after the years of building when nobody's watching. Some of the most successful people in the world didn't follow the system. They built their own. They went from flipping burgers to flipping companies, from stocking shelves to stocking investments, from empty bank accounts to seven-figure portfolios, but none of that happened overnight. It happened because they refused to believe that quitting school meant quitting on life. It's easy to follow a path when it's laid out for you. It's easy to do what everyone else is doing. What's hard is carving your own way through the noise. What's hard is taking a job you hate just to fund a dream that nobody else understands. What's hard is watching your friends get degrees and promotions while you're still figuring it out. But hard is where the winners are made. There's something powerful about being underestimated. It gives you an edge. While everyone else is relaxing, you're leveling up. While they're partying, you're planning. While they're waiting for someone to give them a chance, you're out there creating your own. That's the game, not waiting, creating. People respect results, and results don't care how you got there. The customer doesn't ask if you graduated. The investor doesn't ask about your GPA. They want to know if you can deliver. If you can solve problems, if you can lead, if you can build, and if you're willing to put in the work when no one's watching. That's where real success begins, not in a lecture hall, but in your garage, your bedroom, your mind. In that quiet moment when you say to yourself, I don't care if they believe in me, I believe in me. Because once you start thinking like that, there's no going back. You don't need validation, you need vision. You don't need approval, you need action, and once you commit to building something from nothing, every setback becomes a lesson, every failure becomes fuel, every doubt becomes a motivator. Building one business is hard. Building multiple from scratch, that takes grit most people don't have, not talent, not luck, grit, that quiet, stubborn refusal to give up, the kind of energy that says, I'll figure it out even if I have no clue how right now. That's what separates the people who dream from the ones who execute. Starting your first business is like jumping out of a plane and building the parachute on the way down. No handbook, no blueprint. Just instinct, trial and error, and the willingness to look stupid, fail fast, and try again. But here's the part nobody talks about. Once you build one thing that works, even a little, you realize something powerful. You didn't just build a product or a service. You built a skill set, a mindset. You built proof that you can make something out of nothing. Most people build one thing and stop. They get comfortable. But if you've got the drive to do it once, why stop there? The same principles apply. Solve a problem, know your customer, deliver value, stay consistent, and learn faster than everyone else. Once you understand those fundamentals, you can apply them across industries. Physical products, services, digital brands, coaching, distribution, whatever. The rules of the game stay the same. What changes is your confidence. The first business usually starts with passion. Maybe you liked model toys. Maybe you were into electronics. Maybe you just wanted to prove the world wrong. Doesn't matter. You find something you care about and you go all in. You learn supply chains, margins, customer service. How to keep the lights on when there's more month than money. You make mistakes, tons of them. You underprice yourself. You overstock. You hire the wrong people. You try to do everything yourself. And through all that chaos, you evolve. That evolution is what creates the foundation for every business that comes after. Because now you know what to look for. You know how to validate ideas. You know how to read demand. You know how to spot red flags. You're not guessing anymore. You're applying experience, and experience, when combined with action, becomes a superpower. So the second business, it's sharper, faster, more calculated. You don't waste time on fluff. You don't get distracted by shiny trends. You know what matters: cash flow, value delivery, and systemization. That's when you start thinking like a real entrepreneur. Not just a hustler trying to survive, but a builder thinking long term. You realize that a good business isn't just about making money, it's about buying back your time. When you run multiple businesses, you start to see how everything connects. One business feeds another. You build a customer base in one space, and then you solve more of their problems with another offer. You turn attention into income. You use your existing reputation to launch new ideas. You go from selling products to building an ecosystem. And suddenly, you're not just a business owner. You're the architect of your own empire, but none of that happens if you don't learn how to scale yourself. That means delegation, automation, trusting people. Building systems that run when you're not around, because one business can burn you out if you're not smart. But multiple businesses will crush you unless you've learned how to step back and let the machine run. You're not just trading time for money anymore. You're building infrastructure that pays you whether you're working or not. You don't start with that skill, you earn it through late nights, early mornings, and countless hours doing the jobs nobody sees. Through months of uncertainty where you're making just enough to stay in the game, through the boring stuff: inventory tracking, tax codes, logistics, negotiating contracts. That's what real builders do. They get their hands dirty while everyone else is waiting for perfect conditions. It's not glamorous. There's no instant payoff. You'll have days where you question your sanity, days when the bank balance looks like a countdown timer, days when a supplier screws you, or a product flops, or a launch fails. But if you've got the mindset to keep going, that's when you separate yourself from the rest. Because while others treat failure as a stop sign, you treat it as a detour. You don't retreat, you reroute. Eventually, the pattern becomes clear. Business isn't about avoiding failure, it's about increasing your reps. You try more things, fail faster, recover quicker, and start stacking wins. One business opens the door to another. The first pays your bills, the second buys your freedom, the third builds your legacy, and now you're not just playing the game, you're designing it. The people who build multiple businesses didn't start with a master plan. They started with a problem they could solve and the guts to take action. They didn't wait for the stars to align. They started messy, unprepared, underfunded, and they figured it out on the way up. Social media used to be a place for cat videos, selfies, and filtered holidays. Now, it's a battleground for attention, and attention is the new currency. If you've got the courage to stand in front of a camera and speak the truth, you can turn that attention into authority. And if you've got the discipline to stay consistent and provide real value, you can turn that authority into income, impact, and influence. Financial education has always been locked away behind thick books, boring professors, and jargon-filled seminars. Most people walk through life knowing how to solve algebra problems but clueless about credit cards, compound interest, taxes, or how to build wealth. That's not an accident, it's by design. The system benefits when people are financially illiterate. When they spend recklessly, borrow blindly, and stay in jobs they hate just to survive. But that script is being rewritten by people who take to social media, not with suits and slideshows, but with raw truth, plain talk, and brutal honesty. They don't talk down to you, they don't make you feel stupid. They teach you like a friend would, straight forward, no fluff, no pretending. They break down the basics of money, business, investing, and mindset in a way that finally makes sense. It's not finance for geniuses, it's finance for real people, short-form videos, carousels, podcasts, free guides. The delivery has changed, but the goal is the same: wake people up. Show them how money works. Show them how business works. Show them how they've been lied to their whole lives about what security really means. Most people grow up being told to save every penny, avoid risk, and retire at 65. But on social media, the new wave of financial mentors are saying, save smart, invest smarter, and build assets that pay you forever. They use humor, storytelling, and straight talk to get the point across. They'll roast bad spending habits. They'll clown on people buying $1000 phones with $20 in the bank. They'll break down credit card interest like they're teaching a kid, and that's the magic. They make money topics accessible. They make people listen, not because they've got degrees on their walls, but because they've got results in real life. It's not about going viral. It's about being valuable. Posting for likes gets you nowhere. Posting to teach, that builds trust, and trust is everything. If people trust your advice, they'll follow it. If they follow it and see results, they'll come back, they'll tell their friends, they'll support your brand. That's how you build a real online presence, by leading with value, not vanity. The most powerful thing a financial mentor can do on social media is share their own journey, the failures, the bad decisions, the mistakes that cost thousands. Because that's what people relate to. Not polished perfection, but real, raw struggle that mirrors their own. It's one thing to say, budget your money. It's another to show how you clawed your way out of debt, built a savings cushion, and started investing from scratch. That vulnerability builds connection, and connection builds loyalty. A good mentor doesn't just drop quotes and motivational fluff. They show you systems, they walk you through step-by-step frameworks, they explain why your mindset matters more than your income, they break down the psychology behind money, why people self-sabotage, why they spend emotionally, why they fear investing. They don't just teach tactics, they teach transformation, and the best part, it's free. You don't need to pay thousands for a guru in a suit when you can pull up your phone and get world class financial advice in 60-second clips. That's the power of the internet. That's the power of people who care enough to teach what they've learned. They don't gatekeep, they give, and the more they give, the more they grow. Building a brand around financial mentorship isn't just about views or followers. It's about responsibility. When people listen to you, when they trust you with their money decisions, that's serious. That's someone's future. That's someone's family. A real mentor knows this. They don't chase trends. They stay grounded. They don't preach risky shortcuts. They teach long-term thinking. They remind people that it's not about getting rich fast, it's about getting rich right. And when you do it right, you're not just helping people make more money. You're helping them sleep better at night. You're helping them take control of their life. You're helping them break generational cycles of struggle, fear, and limitation, all with a smartphone and a message. Being a financial mentor on social media is about more than just building a following. It's about building people, equipping them with tools, knowledge, and confidence to make smarter choices, avoid common traps, and build a life on their own terms. The comments, the DM, the testimonials, they're not just engagement. They're proof that what you're doing matters. Proof that education doesn't need a classroom. It just needs someone brave enough to speak up. Making $60,000 a week doesn't start with magic. It starts with discipline, patience, and stacking income streams one brick at a time. Most people hear that number and instantly assume it's fake. They think it's some overnight trick, some lucky viral moment, or the result of being born rich. What they don't see is the years of work, the failures, the sleepless nights, and the relentless consistency it takes to build a machine that pays you whether you clock in or not. The biggest lie people believe is that the only way to earn more is to work more. More hours, more effort, more struggle, but there's a ceiling to that logic. You can't out-hustle time. You've only got 24 hours in a day, and if your income is tied to every hour you work, you're in a financial cage, even if it's a shiny one. The real wealth comes when your money keeps moving even when you don't. That's the difference between active income and passive income, between surviving and scaling. The $60K plus weekly model doesn't come from one job, one gig, or one product. It comes from diversification, multiple income streams firing at once, each one a gear in the machine. You don't start with 7 streams, you start with one, something simple, something proven. Maybe it's content. Maybe it's product sales. Maybe it's flipping items. The point is to get in the game, start generating cash flow, and learn how money actually moves. The first stream might be YouTube. That platform is a goldmine if you use it right. Not because of the views, but because of the monetization paths built into it. Ad revenue alone can bring in thousands per week if your content is consistent and valuable. But that's just the surface. Sponsorships, affiliate links, digital products, and brand deals can double or triple your earnings without doubling your workload. One piece of content can earn for days, weeks, or even years if it hits the right audience. Next, you plug in product sales. Not just random junk, but things that solve real problems. Maybe it's merchandise tied to your brand. Maybe it's financial templates, budget planners, or digital toolkits. You create once, you promote forever. You're not trading time for money. You're creating assets that live on autopilot. When someone buys your product at 2 a.m. while you're asleep, that's leverage. That's the business working for you, not the other way around. Then there's coaching and digital education. If you've mastered something, teach it. People are hungry for real advice, not theory, not fluff, but lived experience. Whether it's one-on-one mentorship, group programs, or self-paced courses, the education business scales fast when you focus on outcomes. And because you're packaging your knowledge, your overhead is low and your margins are high. You don't need a building, you don't need inventory, just your brain, your story, and a clear roadmap that others can follow. On top of that, you've got investments, the quiet engine running in the background. Stocks, ETFs, real estate, dividend portfolios, crypto if you're smart and careful, nothing flashy, nothing emotional, just consistent, calculated plays that grow over time. It might start small, $100 here, $500 there, but over the years the compounding kicks in. The goal isn't to gamble. The goal is to create streams that produce income passively while your main business continues to scale. Don't forget brand deals and sponsorships. Once your audience grows, companies will pay to be in front of them. But not every offer deserves your name on it. The smart play is to only align with brands that match your values. When your audience trusts you, every recommendation carries weight. And when you guard that trust fiercely, your conversion rates stay high and your income grows without sacrificing your reputation. The most overlooked stream, reinvesting back into your own ecosystem. Whether it's hiring the right people, upgrading your content, automating your systems, or launching complementary services, the money you make should fuel smarter decisions. Every dollar isn't for spending, it's for building. You turn income into infrastructure and infrastructure into scalability. Now add them up. YouTube ads, affiliate income, digital products, coaching, investments, sponsorships, reinvested growth. None of them alone makes $60K a week. But together, they form a financial engine that runs day and night. Some weeks one stream underperforms, another over-delivers. That's the beauty of diversification. You're not relying on one thing to work forever. You're spreading your risk, expanding your reach, and increasing your financial stability with every new layer. The real skill isn't just creating income, it's managing it, automating it, delegating where needed. Tracking numbers weekly, knowing your metrics like you know your name, because when your money is coming from multiple angles, you can't afford to be lazy. You need systems, you need clarity. You need to treat your income like a portfolio, always adjusting, always optimizing. Most people are obsessed with getting rich fast, that's why they lose. They're chasing the quick wins, flipping coins in crypto, jumping into sketchy side hustles, and pouring their savings into whatever trends exploding on TikTok this week. They want money now, results now, success now. And that mindset, that's exactly what keeps them broke. Wealth doesn't come from fast money, it comes from smart money, from doing the boring stuff repeatedly without applause while everyone else is busy trying to cut their way to the top. The people who actually win in the long run don't follow hype. They follow principles, patience, discipline, consistency. That's the real formula. And it's not sexy, which is why most people ignore it. There's always going to be someone promising overnight results. Buy this coin, join this scheme, copy this drop shipping model, and you'll be a millionaire in 30 days. But if you fall for that, it means you're still thinking like a consumer, not an investor. Like a gambler, not a builder. Real wealth builders don't play games with their future. They build assets, not distractions. They grow slowly, quietly, and powerfully, because they know that the long game pays the biggest rewards. Quick money teaches you nothing. It gives you the illusion of success without the foundation. That's why lottery winners go broke, and why most people who get lucky in the markets lose everything later. They never learned the mindset, they never developed the habits, they never built the systems. When you earn slow, you earn smart. You learn to manage, to protect, and to grow your income over time, not just make it once and hope it sticks. Long-term wealth is about planting seeds. You don't plant a tree today and expect to eat fruit tomorrow. You water it, you nurture it, you protect it from storms, you give it time. Same with money. You start with a solid budget. You build a habit of saving, you invest consistently, whether the market's up or down, you educate yourself, you track your net worth, you stay in the game when others are quitting. That's how you build wealth that lasts. Look at the habits of real millionaires. They're not bragging about cars or watches. They're buying real estate, building businesses, investing in index funds. They understand cash flow, asset classes, risk management. They're not thinking about this week. They're thinking 5, 10, 20 years down the line. They understand one thing most people ignore. Time is the most powerful force in wealth creation. The problem is, most people treat time like an enemy instead of an ally. They're in a rush. They're measuring success by how fast they can double their income, not how steadily they can grow it year after year. But the truth is, the first dollar 10, 0, 0, 0 is the hardest. The first dollar 100 zeros, 0, 0 feels like it takes forever. But once you cross those thresholds, the compound effect kicks in, momentum builds, money starts making more money, and that's when things really start moving. The people who build long-term wealth think in decades, not days. They're patient, they're strategic, they don't care about impressing anyone. While others are chasing clout, they're chasing freedom. Not freedom in theory, freedom in reality. Freedom to wake up without an alarm clock. Freedom to walk away from bad clients, freedom to say no without fear. That kind of freedom doesn't come from a shortcut. It comes from years of doing the right thing over and over again. You don't need a six-figure salary to start building wealth. You need control over your habits. It starts with living below your means, automating your savings, investing with purpose, learning about taxes, avoiding consumer debt, tracking your expenses like a hawk. These things sound basic because they are, but basic is what works. The basics, mastered consistently, beat flashy tactics every single time. The truth is, most people know what they should do, but they don't. Because it's slow, because it's not exciting, because it requires sacrifice. But if you can flip your mindset, if you can see the power of boring financial habits done consistently, you unlock a level of control most people never reach. You stop reacting to every dip, every headline, every tweet. You start making decisions from a place of confidence, not desperation. This is why delayed gratification matters. It's not just about money. It's about who you become in the process. Someone who can wait, someone who can endure, someone who doesn't crumble when things get hard. Because the truth is, the market will crash. Your business will hit roadblocks. You'll face losses. That's part of the journey. The people chasing quick wins run when it gets tough. The people playing the long game dig in, learn, adjust, and keep going. Wealth isn't about getting lucky once. It's about doing the right things repeatedly until they compound. It's about using your money to buy back your time, not show off your lifestyle. It's about building a foundation so strong that even if everything crashes, you still stand. And that foundation is built through the slow, steady, consistent actions that most people are too impatient to commit to. Most people are searching for the perfect investment. They'll spend hours researching stocks, scrolling through crypto charts, debating whether real estate or index funds give the best returns. But while they're chasing the next big thing, they ignore the one investment that beats them all, investing in themselves. Not once, not casually, consistently, deliberately, and aggressively. The best return on investment doesn't come from a stock market rally. It comes from upgrading your own mind, your own skills, and your own habits. Because here's the truth. If you gave a broke, lazy, undisciplined person $1 million, they'd lose it. But if you gave a focused, skilled, self-educated person $10,000, they'd turn it into something real. It's not the money that makes the difference, it's the person behind it. Most people are walking around with the latest phones, designer clothes, subscriptions to entertainment platforms, and zero investment in their personal growth. They'll drop hundreds on a weekend out, but won't spend 50 on a book that could change their mindset. They'll spend hours watching mindless content, but can't give 20 minutes to learn a new skill that increases their income potential. That's not a money problem, that's a priority problem. When you start investing in yourself, everything changes. You stop blaming the world. You stop waiting for opportunities. You realize that no one's coming to hand you success. You build it brick by brick, thought by thought, action by action. You start asking better questions. You become more resourceful. You stop panicking during setbacks because you trust your ability to adapt, learn, and rebuild if necessary. Investing in yourself isn't just about education, it's also about discipline. The books, the courses, the seminars. Yes, they matter, but they mean nothing without action. Reading about financial freedom while staying broke by choice doesn't make you smart, it makes you delusional. Learning is step one. Execution is what separates the learners from the earners. Think of every dollar and every hour like a tool. You can use them to waste time, or you can use them to sharpen your edge. Instead of blowing $200 on shoes, what if you used that money for an online course in a high-income skill? Instead of binging shows all weekend, what if you spent that time learning copywriting, video editing, negotiation, or coding? Those skills don't just make you money, they give you leverage. They make you valuable in any market, in any economy, at any age. The beauty of self-investment is that no one can take it from you, not a boss. Not the government, not a market crash. You could lose your job, your income, even your business. But if you've invested in becoming smarter, tougher, and more skilled, you can rebuild from zero. That's the kind of confidence that most people never experience. Not because they're not capable, but because they never gave themselves the chance. It also changes the way you see money. You stop thinking of money as something to spend and start thinking of it as something to deploy. You ask, how can this dollar improve my mind, my time, or my future? That shift is what takes you from consumer to creator, from reactive to intentional. You stop chasing lifestyle upgrades and start chasing personal upgrades. And as a result, the lifestyle upgrades show up anyway, because now they're byproducts, not goals. Even health is a form of investment. You can't build wealth if you're constantly tired, sick, or running on fumes. Taking care of your body is part of the equation. Sleep, nutrition, exercise. Those things aren't optional if you want to perform at your peak. Energy is currency. If you're not fueling your body right, you're limiting your potential in every other area. Mentorship is another underrated self-investment. A good mentor can collapse years of mistakes into weeks of progress. But most people won't ask for help. Their pride is too loud. They'd rather learn everything the hard way than humble themselves and get guidance from someone who's already walked the path. The smart ones, they learn from other people's mistakes and fast track their growth. You've got to look at yourself like a business. Every skill you develop is an asset. Every weakness you ignore is a liability. Every bad habit you carry is a hidden expense. And every minute you waste is lost potential revenue. When you start managing your life like a high-performing business, everything sharpens. You become intentional. You stop drifting and start designing. The person you are today is the result of every decision you've made about how to spend your time, your energy, and your focus. And the person you become tomorrow will be built from the same ingredients. If you don't like your results, change your inputs. Upgrade what you're learning. Upgrade what you're practicing. Upgrade what you're tolerating. Because if you can become the kind of person who's capable of achieving success, then success becomes inevitable.